All right, real talk. How many of you are stressed? I mean, I can't raise my hand high enough right now. It is such an issue that April is actually Stress Awareness Month. Well, good friend of the show, Dr. Brooke Goldner, is back to help us manage all of this stress and anxiety. She's already been giving me some tools during commercial break because I said, Doctor, you can't tell me you're not stressed.
You can have stress and not be stressed.
See, that really struck me. Have stress and not be stressed.
Do you know there's an optimal amount of stress?
No.
Most folks don't realize they think stress is bad, but there's a certain amount of stress we need to function, right? Imagine you had no stress, you probably wouldn't have come to work. You'd just be in bed watching old movies or something.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a certain amount of stress and anxiety that actually is optimal to make us go, I guess I should get to work today or go to school or get things done. It makes us productive. Right. But when it's overloaded, when there's too much stress, it does the opposite. It makes us feel overwhelmed and exhausted and unable to do the things we need to do. And that's what this awareness is supposed to be about.
And I've been feeling that, actually. Because,
no.
well, I think a lot, I start feeling almost like you're sinking, you know, because there's thing after thing after thing, and you're trying to catch your breath, but there's another thing, and then I get nervous tummy, I call it, or you lose sleep, or the thoughts go on. So how can I manage it? Because I know I'm not alone.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a very common thing, especially in moms. They found there was a study they were looking at how men and women, especially as parents, manage things. And men actually, they'll work and then be done working and their brain can move on to other things. But they found women, even when they're taking a break, they're making mental lists of more things that they can do. And what's important is you have to be on that list. We were talking before we came on, right? And you said, how can you not be stressed? I said, I have stressful things, but I manage through self-care. So I had lupus when I was growing up, so I had no choice but to learn how to manage stress, because with lupus, if you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. So I had to learn that self-care had to be a part of my day. And when I took time out every day to exercise, to eat well, to meditate, to do things that made me happy, I had so much more energy that I could achieve a lot more intellectually in school and other things. And what I find is most folks who don't have that kind of issue, they don't stop until they get sick. And so those hormones and the adrenaline that you release when you're stressed, if that's constant, it causes problems. IBS is a big one. We actually have more receptors for stress hormones in our belly than in our brain. Yeah, that's why they call this the little brain, but it really should be the big one because it's a lot bigger down here than up here.
Yeah.
So gut issues, blood pressure issues, heart disease, and even things like autoimmune diseases are triggered by chronic stress. But unfortunately, most people don't come to me until they can't do all this stuff
I was going to say, I keep putting things off because that's what you do as a mom, I feel like.
Well, that's what you have to not do, because here's the thing. You know, even Atlas put the world down when Hercules came by and said, can you hold this for a minute so he could go take a break?
True.
Right? And most moms I know think they're Atlas. They're just holding up the world until they're on their knees and then they can't. And we don't want that. One of my clients, I helped her reverse autoimmune disease. She came to me only when she couldn't leave her bed or take care of her kids anymore. And after the first couple weeks, she was feeling so much better. She came downstairs to watch TV and her kids clapped because they were so happy to see her. But it was bittersweet.
Right.
And you don't want to get to the point that people miss you. And if you're that important, you've got to prioritize yourself. So you have to be on the list at the top. So you look at what you need to do for the day, and you also put on that schedule, here's where I'm going to exercise, here's where I'm going to take that break to meditate, here's where I'm going to put fun in. And listen, if you don't have time on a daily basis for a lot, at least do something every day to release cortisol and relax. Like I like a long hot bath every night.
That's what you were telling me, because we were talking about bedtime for our kids, and you're like, strict bedtime so then we can have that time for ourselves.
But don't use that time to just watch TV, because that actually does not improve depression. It makes it worse for folks who are already dealing with mental health issues. It's just a distraction. You want to actually have a clear mind, be able to relax, breathe. I like to put in the essential oils in the bath and relax and breathe, and I can feel my muscles all relax, right? So that's something you could do daily. But then on the weekend, do work hard, play hard, plan something really fun. That's what my husband and I were doing before I came out here. What do we want to do? We're looking at museums, we're having people over for karaoke. Like, we create so much fun when we can, and then that carries you over where Monday doesn't feel that bad, and you have something to look forward to through the week, and that helps a lot with stress as well. You gotta release the pressure valve.
No, it's true. That all sounds like actually really refreshing to me and something I need to do. So everyone somebody watching, what's like one tangible thing they could do today? Because all of this sounds great, but maybe they're like, I don't have time for all of this. What would the biggest thing they could do right now?
One thing I always tell my patients is if you think you're too busy for self-care, you're eventually going to be too sick to be busy. So stop with telling yourself that. It is not all or nothing. It's like most women think that they can give blood every day even though they're anemic, right? If you try to give blood, they won't let you do it more than once a month because you'll die, right? So if you give and give and give and you don't refill, eventually you will be too sick to do it, and that's not something you can plan for. So instead, go, where can I insert little breaks? Even if it's 5 minutes to go take a walk outside or run up and down the stairs, get some endorphins going. Or there's a technique. Do we have time? I can teach you a technique.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're feeling very overwhelmed and stressed, there's a self-hypnosis technique that's helped a lot of my patients, right?
Okay.
And what you do is you start out by just breathing in, and every time you take a deep breath, you say your name in your head. So you say Maggie, take a deep breath, Maggie, all right? And that starts to center you. And then you think of an emotion you want to feel. So loved or calm or safe or peaceful. And what you do is every time you breathe in, you say your name. And every time you breathe out, you say that emotion. And two things start to happen. Number one is your brain cannot think and say words at the same time. So you take a break from the mental noise because you're just thinking those two words, right?
Right.
Number two, your brain starts to associate those things. Maggie and peaceful, Maggie and peaceful. And that actually sends a signal into the body. I've helped people actually end a panic attack with that technique. You could do it sitting in traffic, eyes open. You could do it just relaxing while you're waiting for a phone call. And it immediately makes
I felt it actually through my arms down to my fingertips.
Yeah.
That was really something.
That's just one thing you can do.
Just what I'm going to start doing that because I start feeling like anxious and all of this stuff. Oh, thank you, doctor. I always love our chats. I really do. And you have so many incredible, because a lot of it is eating healthy too, what we feed ourselves with. So tell us about your books quickly and where we can go for more information.
Yeah, so Goodbye Lupus was my story of reversing lupus, and it had to do with changing the way I ate. And actually how you feed your body, this neck attaches your head to your body. So how you feed your brain is also how you feed your body, right? Goodbye Autoimmune Disease is actually the mental health portion. Because a lot of folks with autoimmune and chronic diseases, they've got trauma and other mental health issues, anxiety, depression, poor sleep habits. So that's really, I just went to a conference this weekend where people said that was the book that saved me. I needed to work on my stress and my emotional health in order to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're eating to treat the feelings.
Exactly.
And then my recipe book is just ways to make it taste good. You know.
And she has the best smoothies up there. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, smoothies are great because you can drink the smoothie while working and you're nourishing yourself. A lot of people are snacking on junk and then emotionally healthy, and then that all
like
just
a cycle
turns into poor health. Yes.
Doctor, thank you so much. You definitely made me feel a lot more centered. I really appreciate you. Always love having Dr. Goldner in on the conversation.